We tell stories of human way, not with artificial voices or AI slop. In the end, what's HFI without humanity? Subscribe to keep it this way. My name is Amir Sohal. Let's begin. The stars were quiet but not peaceful. Far beyond Earth, in the deep black of space, a single ship moved slowly through the darkness. It was not large, but it was beautiful. Its silver surface shined like a dying star. Soft blue lights ran across its sides, fading in and out like a weak heartbeat. Inside the ship stood Prince Kael. He was young for a ruler, but his eyes looked tired, like someone who had seen too much loss. He wore a simple royal suit, not heavy armor. He did not come as a warrior. He came as something far more dangerous in a broken universe. He came as a messenger of peace. Kael stood in front of a wide glass panel, looking down at a small blue planet far away. Earth. Behind him, a voice spoke, calm but worried. "My prince, we are now entering the outer range of the planet." Kael did not turn. "How long until they detect us?" he asked quietly. "Less than 5 minutes," the voice replied. "Their systems are primitive but active." Kael closed his eyes for a moment. Primitive. That word once made him smile. It meant a world was safe. It meant a world was not yet part of the endless wars of the galaxy. But now it meant something else. It meant they were not ready. "Prepare the signal," Kael said. The voice behind him paused. "My prince, are you certain? Once we reveal ourselves, there is no turning back." Kael slowly turned around. His face was calm, but there was pain hidden deep inside. "There is already no turning back," he said. Silence filled the room. Outside, Earth slowly grew bigger. Blue oceans, white clouds, green lands, a peaceful world. Kael stepped forward. "This world still has a chance," he said softly. "We do not." The crew member lowered his head. "Yes, my prince." The ship moved closer. And then, a sharp sound cut through the silence. "Warning. Unknown object detected." Red lights filled the ship. Kael did not move. "They have seen us," the crew member said quickly. "Multiple signals. Weapon systems are activating." Kael took a deep breath. "Send the message," he said. "Now." The ship released a soft pulse into space. A signal. A voice. A message for Earth. On Earth, everything changed in seconds. Military bases around the world lit up with alarms. Screens flashed red. Satellites focused on one object, moving closer from space. An unknown ship. In a command center, officers stared at the main screen. "What is that?" one asked. "No idea," another replied. "It's not ours." "Is a weapon?" Silence. Then suddenly, a signal came through. "Sir, we are receiving something. Put on." The room went quiet. A voice filled the speakers. Calm. Clear. Not human. "I am Prince Kael of the Arion Empire." People froze. "I come to your world with a message." The officers looked at each other, confused and tense. "We do not come for war." A pause. "I come for peace." The room exploded with noise. "Is this real? Could be a trick." "Track the object." "Prepare defense systems." The voice continued, still calm. "My people are in danger. A great enemy is coming. You do not know them yet, but you will." Silence again. "We ask for your help, and in return we offer knowledge, protection, alliance." Another pause. "I come unarmed." Then the signal ended. Back in the ship, Kael stood still. "They have received it," the crew member said. Kael nodded slowly. "Good." But his face did not show hope, only waiting. On Earth, fear spread faster than fire. News channels began to report strange signals. Governments went into emergency meetings. The word alien was whispered everywhere. In the command center, a general spoke loudly. "This is not peace. This is invasion." "But sir," another officer said, "he said he came unarmed." "Do you trust that?" the general snapped. "Do you trust something we don't understand?" Silence. The object was getting closer. "Prepare interception," the general ordered. "Do not let it land freely." Kael's ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Fire burned across its surface as it moved down. The sky above a quiet desert turned bright. People far away saw a burning light falling from the sky. Some thought it was a meteor. Some felt fear without knowing why. The ship slowed down, gently, carefully, and then it landed. A cloud of dust rose around it. Silence followed. Inside, Kael stood at the exit. "Shall I prepare guards?" the crew member asked. Kael shook his head. "No, my prince, it is dangerous." "Yes," Kael said, "but this is the only way." He placed his hand on the door. "If they see weapons, they will not listen." The door slowly opened. Bright sunlight entered the ship. Kael stepped out. For the first time, an alien prince stood on Earth. The air was warm, the ground was dry, and the world was watching. Far away, military vehicles moved fast across the desert. Helicopters filled the sky. Weapons locked on one target. Kael, he stood alone, his hands empty. No armor, no weapons, only silence. The helicopters stopped above him, guns aimed down. A voice shouted through speakers. "Do not move." Kael did not move. "Identify yourself." Kael looked up. "I am Prince Kael," he said calmly. "I came as I promised." The soldiers did not lower their weapons. "Get on your knees." Kael slowly raised his hands, not in fear, but in peace. "I will not resist," he said, "but you must listen." The soldiers moved closer, carefully, fearfully. One wrong move, and everything could end. Kael looked at them. These were humans, stronger than he expected, braver than he thought, but also afraid. "I came to help you," Kael said. No one answered. The soldiers surrounded him, weapons ready. One step closer, then another. Finally, one soldier stood directly in front of him. "Hands behind your head," he ordered. Kael obeyed. Cold metal touched his arms. They locked him. Captured, the prince of an alien empire, now a prisoner on Earth. As they pushed him toward a vehicle, Kael looked back at his ship, alone, silent, waiting. Then he looked at the humans again. "So this is how it begins," he whispered. The soldier frowned. "What did you say?" Kael gave a small, strange smile. Not angry, not afraid, almost sad. "You think I am your enemy," he said. No one replied. They pushed him into the vehicle. Doors slammed shut. Engines started. Dust rose again. The convoy moved away. Kael sat quietly, surrounded by armed soldiers. No one spoke. The air was heavy with tension. Then Kael looked up and said something that made the silence even heavier. "You just made the same mistake." The soldiers looked at him, confused. "What mistake?" one asked. Kael's eyes darkened. "The same one my enemies made." Silence. No one understood, but something in his voice made them feel cold. Outside, the sky looked normal. The world looked safe. But far beyond Earth, something was already moving, and it was coming closer. Fast. Very fast. And this time, there would be no warning. Only war. Expected. The room was cold, not just in temperature, but in feeling. Bright white lights covered the ceiling. Steel walls surrounded everything. Cameras watched from every corner. There were no windows. No escape. Prince Kael sat alone in a metal chair, his hands still locked. Across from him, 3 humans watched in silence. A general, a scientist, and a man in a dark suit. None of them trusted him. None of them understood him. But all of them knew one thing. He was not human. The general stepped forward first. "State your name again." Kael looked at him calmly. "Prince Kael of the Arion Empire." The general crossed his arms. "And why are you here?" Kael did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked around the room, at the cameras, at the walls, at the fear in their eyes. Then he spoke. "I came to save your world." The room went silent. Then, the general laughed. A short, cold laugh. "Save us," he said. "From what?" "You." Kael shook his head slowly. "No, from what is coming." The man in the suit leaned forward. "And what exactly is coming?" Kael's eyes became serious. "Something you cannot fight alone." Silence again. The scientist spoke this time. You expect us to believe that? She asked. You arrive without warning, enter our planet, and tell us there's a threat? Kael nodded. Yes. The general slammed his hand on the table. That's not how this works, he shouted. You don't just appear and ask for trust. Kael did not react. I did not ask for trust, he said quietly. I asked for time. The words hung in the air, heavy, strange, dangerous. The man in the suit narrowed his eyes. What do you mean by that? Kael leaned forward slightly. Time before they arrive. Far away from Earth, deep in space, something moved. Not one ship, not 10, hundreds, maybe thousands. Dark shapes, silent and massive, moving in perfect formation. No lights, no signals, only one purpose, to destroy. Back on Earth, the general took a deep breath. You said your people are in danger, he said. Explain. Kael looked down for a moment. For the first time, his calm face showed something else. Pain. My empire, he began slowly, was once strong. We ruled many systems. We believed we were safe. He paused. That was our first mistake. The scientists leaned closer. What happened? Kael looked up. They came. Who? Kael's voice dropped. We do not have a name for them. We call them the Silent Fleet. The room grew tense. They do not speak. They do not negotiate. They do not stop. The man in the suit frowned. And what do they want? Kael answered without hesitation. Everything. Silence. They destroy planets, Kael continued. Not for resources. Not for power. Then why? The scientist asked softly. Kael's eyes darkened. Because they can... A chill moved through the room. The general shook his head. This sounds like fear tactics. Kael did not argue. Instead, he said, Show them. The humans looked confused. Show us what? The general asked. Kael turned his head slightly. My ship, he said. It has records. The man in the suit hesitated. This could be a trick. Kael looked at him. If I wanted to destroy you, I would not come alone. That answer stopped them. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the general gave a small signal. Bring the footage. Minutes later, the lights dimmed. A large screen turned on. Static appeared first. Then, images. Real images. Planets burning. Cities falling. Massive ships in the sky, blocking out stars. Explosions across entire worlds. Screams, even though there was no sound. The room froze. The scientist covered her mouth. Oh my God! The general stared without blinking. What is this? Kael spoke quietly. My home. The video continued. Alien ships, sleek and powerful, fighting back. But they were losing. Every time. Everywhere. The Silent Fleet moved like a shadow. Unstoppable. Unbreakable. Endless. The video ended suddenly. Silence filled the room again. But this time it was different. Now there was fear. Real fear. The scientist turned slowly. This is real? Kael nodded. Yes. The general looked angry, but not at Kael, at something else. How long? He asked. Kael answered in one word. Soon. How soon? The man in the suit pressed. Kael took a breath. They have already found your system. The room went still. They are coming, Kael said. And when they arrive, they will not ask questions. The general stepped back. This changes everything. The scientist looked at Kael. Why come here? She asked. Why Earth? Kael answered honestly. Because you are strong. They looked surprised. You fight even when you are afraid. Kael continued. You survive when you should not. That is rare. The man in the suit crossed his arms. And you think we can stop them? Kael shook his head. No. That answer hit hard. Then what is the point? The general asked. Kael looked at all of them. Together we have a chance. Outside, alarms suddenly started ringing. Loud, urgent, dangerous. The door opened fast. A soldier rushed in. Sir, what is it? The general asked. We are picking up signals in deep space. The room froze. What kind of signals? The scientist asked. The soldier swallowed. Unknown, but they matched the patterns from the footage. Everyone turned to Kael. He did not look surprised, only tired. "They are faster than I thought," he said quietly. The general moved quickly. "Give me full visuals." The screen changed again. Now it showed space. Dark, silent. Then, tiny lights appeared. Far away, but growing. More lights. And more, until they filled the screen. The scientist whispered, "That's not possible." The man in the suit stepped back. "How many are there?" Kael answered, "Enough." The general clenched his fists. "All units on alert," he ordered. "Prepare global defense systems." The soldier ran out. Chaos began. But in the middle of it all, Kael sat still, watching, waiting. The scientist turned to him. "What do we do?" she asked. Kael looked at her. For the first time, there was urgency in his voice. "You must trust me." The general hesitated. Every instinct told him not to, but the screen behind him showed something humanity had never seen before. An enemy that did not fear them. An enemy that did not care. An enemy that was already here. The general slowly turned back to Kael. "You have one chance," he said. Kael nodded. "That is all I need." The lights flickered. The alarms grew louder. And outside, the sky remained calm. Too calm, because high above the planet, hidden in darkness, the first ships of the Silent Fleet had already entered orbit, watching, waiting, and preparing to strike. The war had not started yet, but Earth had already lost one thing, its illusion of safety. And deep inside the command center, one truth became clear. The alien prince was not the threat. He was a warning, and humanity had almost ignored it. Part 3, the war begins. The sky above her still looked calm, blue, quiet, peaceful, but that peace was a lie. High above the clouds, far beyond what human eyes could see, dark shapes moved slowly into position. They blocked the stars one by one, like shadows spreading across the universe. The Silent Fleet had arrived. Inside the command center, everything was chaos. Alarms screamed, screens flashed, voices shouted over each other. Multiple objects confirmed in orbit. No communication signals detected. They are not responding to anything. The general stood in the center, watching the main screen. His face was tense but focused. "How long before they attack?" he asked. No one answered, because no one knew. Prince Kael stood beside the scientist, both looking at the screen. "They are studying you," Kael said quietly. The scientist turned to him. "Studying us?" Kael nodded. "They always do this first. They watch. They learn your defenses." "And then?" she asked. Kael's eyes stayed on the screen. "Then they remove them." A cold silence followed. Suddenly, the first strike came, without warning, without sound. 1 second, everything was normal. The next, a bright flash appeared in space. Then another, and another. Satellites exploded one after another, turning into fire and broken metal. "We're losing satellites," someone shouted. "Communication systems are going down." The general reacted fast. Switched to ground systems. Now! But it was already happening. The Silent Fleet was cutting Earth off, piece by piece. Kael closed his eyes for a second. "It has begun," he whispered. Across the world, people looked up at the sky. At first, they saw nothing. Then, lines of light appeared, falling fast. Too fast. They were not stars. They were not meteors. They were weapons. The first one hit the ocean. A massive explosion followed. Water rose into the sky like a wall. Shock waves moved across continents. Then more strikes came. Cities, bases, defense systems. Each hit was perfect. Each target important. They know exactly where to strike, the scientist said in disbelief. Kael nodded. They always do. Inside the command center, we are under global attack. Multiple impact zones confirmed. Civilian areas are hit. The general shouted, "Activate all defenses. Air Force now." Jets launched from bases around the world. Missiles fired into the sky. For a moment, humanity fought back. In the sky, human jets moved fast, targeting the dark ships above. Pilots shouted into their radios. I have a lock. Firing now. Missiles shot upward. They hit. Explosions filled the sky. One alien ship broke apart. Cheers filled the radios. We got one. But the victory did not last. More ships moved in. Faster. Stronger. Beams of light shot down from the silent fleet. One by one, human jets were destroyed. No chance. No warning. Just gone. Back in the command center. The mood changed. Hope started to fade. They are too strong, someone whispered. Kael stepped forward. Not too strong, he said. Just too prepared. The general looked at him. Then what do we do? Kael took a deep breath. We change the fight. Release me, Kael said. The room went silent. The general frowned. You are still our prisoner. Kael looked at him directly. If I stay here, you lose. The scientist spoke quickly. He's right. He knows them. We don't. The man in the suit hesitated. This is risky. The general looked at the screen again, at the burning cities, at the falling jets, at the unstoppable enemy. Then he made his decision. Unlock him. The metal restraints opened. For the first time since arriving on Earth, Prince Kael was free. He stood up slowly. No fear. No hesitation. Only purpose. What do you need? The general asked. Kael answered without thinking. My ship. Minutes later, Kael stood once again in the desert. His ship still waited there. Silent. Untouched. The sky above was no longer calm. Now it was filled with fire. Human jets. Alien ships. Explosions. War. Kael walked toward his ship. The same ship that brought him here for peace. Now ready for war. The door opened. Blue light filled the sand. He stepped inside. The control room came alive. Systems activated. Screens lit up. A soft voice spoke. Welcome back, my prince. Kael sat in the main seat. Prepare combat systems, he said. Target the silent fleet. Command accepted. The ship rose from the ground. Slow at first, then fast. It shot into the sky like a blue flame. In the command center, everyone watched. That ship, the scientist said. It's incredible. The general crossed his arms. Let's see what it can do. High above Earth, Kael's ship entered the battlefield. Enemy ships surrounded him. Dark, silent, deadly. Kael's hands moved across the controls. Let's begin, he said. The first attack came from the enemy. 3 ships moved toward him. Fast. Weapons ready. Kael reacted instantly. His ship moved like it was alive. Dodging. Turning. Striking. Blue beams fired from his ship. Precise. Sharp. One enemy ship exploded. Then another. Then the third. In seconds. Back on Earth. They're watching, someone said in shock. He's destroying them. The general leaned forward. Not destroying, he said quietly. Fighting smart. Kael continued. He moved through the battlefield with perfect control. Not wasting energy. Not making mistakes. Every move had a reason. Every shot had a target. But even he could see the truth. There were too many. Suddenly, a message appeared on his screen. Incoming signal. From his home world. Kael's hands froze. For a second, he did not want to open it, but he had to. He accepted the message. The screen changed. What he saw made his heart stop. His home planet was burning. Cities destroyed. The sky dark. His people gone. A broken voice came through. My prince, we failed. Kael's eyes filled with pain. The throne is lost. The signal cut. Silence. For the first time, Prince Kael felt something break inside him. Not fear. Not anger. Loss. Deep. Heavy. Final. Behind him, the battle continued. Earth was still under attack. Humans were still fighting. Still dying. Still standing. Kael closed his eyes. Just for a moment. Then he opened them again. Different now. Stronger. Colder. More human. Back in the command center. Kael, the scientist called. What's happening? He did not answer immediately. Then he spoke. My world is gone. Silence filled the room. The general lowered his head. I'm sorry, he said. Kael looked at Earth below him. at the blue planet still fighting, still alive, still refusing to fall. Then he said, "Then this world becomes my last." His ship powered up again, stronger than before, faster, more dangerous. Kael moved back into fight, but this time, he was not just a prince. He was something else, something the Silent Fleet had never faced before, a leader with nothing left to lose. "Human forces," Kael said over open communication. "Follow my lead." For a second, no one responded. Then, one pilot spoke. "We're with you." Then another, and another. Soon, voices filled the channel. From different countries, different people. One message: "We fight together." Kael gave a small nod. "Then we begin again." The war above Earth grew louder, stronger, more dangerous. But something had changed. Humans were no longer fighting alone. And Kael was no longer fighting for a lost empire. He was fighting for something new, something unexpected, something powerful. Humanity. But far beyond the battlefield, deep in space, more ships were coming. Bigger, stronger, endless. The real war had only just begun. The sky over Earth had turned into a battlefield of fire and steel. Explosions lit the horizon in bright orange flashes, and clouds of smoke climbed toward the stars. Cities shook under the attacks of the Silent Fleet, but humanity still stood. People ran in fear, yet fighters and jets soared into the chaos, guided by a single hope: Prince Kael. Kael's ship moved with perfect precision. Its blue energy trails cut through the darkness, weaving between enemy ships. For hours he fought, not for his throne, not for glory, not even for peace, only to protect a world that had never known him, yet had shown the courage to fight back. Inside his ship, Kael accessed communications with the remaining human leaders. "General," Kael said, his voice calm but firm, "listen carefully. I know their patterns now. Every ship, every movement, they have a rhythm. If we synchronize our strikes, we can turn the tide." The general's voice trembled slightly. "Are you certain, Kael? These forces, they're beyond anything we faced." Kael looked down at Earth. Cities burned, but the oceans reflected the sunrise. Humans were fighting, resisting the shadows above. He smiled faintly. "Humans are resilient," he said. "And now, they will learn what unity means." On the battlefield, Kael's ship led the human fleet. Jets and spacecraft of all nations moved in perfect formation, guided by his strategies. Missiles soared past enemy defenses, striking precise points on the Silent Fleet ships. Explosions illuminated space like fireworks, but Kael knew this was only the beginning. Then, the first sign of his home world appeared in his mind. A holographic map flashed on his control panel. His eyes widened. "General, we need to leave Earth," Kael said quietly. The general froze. "Leave? But what about?" Kael shook his head. "I cannot protect both. My empire is gone. My people need me. The Silent Fleet is advancing. If I stay here, my home will vanish completely." The room fell silent. "But if you leave," the scientist whispered. Kael's eyes hardened. "Then Earth will need to stand on its own. But I will give them the knowledge, the strategies, and the courage to survive." Kael prepared his ship for interstellar travel. The engines glowed brighter than ever. Outside, the human fleet held their positions, buying time. Every second counted. "Prepare to engage hyperdrive," Kael ordered. "We move now." With a sudden roar, his ship shot toward the stars, leaving Earth behind in a storm of fire and chaos. The human fleet followed orders, retreating strategically to minimize casualties, while Kael led them on a path toward the heart of the Silent Fleet. The journey was long, but Kael did not speak. His mind was full of memories. Memories of his people, his lost throne, and the home world that had been destroyed. Pain was heavy in his chest, yet determination burned brighter. At last they arrived. His home world floated before them like a wounded giant. Cities were reduced to ash. Smoke rose from craters. The Silent Fleet hovered above, unmoving, like vultures circling their prey. Kael's heart clenched. "They are too strong," the general whispered. "We can't." Kael cut him off. We must." The battle began. Kael's ship moved first, weaving between enemy strikes. Energy beams collided with his shields, but he did not falter. Around him, human ships followed his lead. They had no hope of winning, but they had the courage to fight, a courage Kael would never forget. Explosions tore through space. Ships were destroyed. Jets were burned into nothingness. Yet every strike Kael ordered found its mark. Every maneuver saved lives. For hours, the battle raged. It seemed endless. Kael watched as enemy ships fell one by one, but the silent fleet never stopped. There was no mercy, no hesitation, only destruction. Then Kael made his move. He activated the ultimate weapon of his empire, a massive energy pulse capable of destroying multiple ships at once. It was dangerous. It would leave him vulnerable, but he had no choice. The human fleet retreated, following his instructions. Kael focused entirely on the silent fleet. The pulse ignited. A wave of blue energy expanded like a sunburst, consuming enemy ships. Explosions lit the void of space. Kael's ship shook violently. Alarm screamed. Systems burned. But he held firm. When the pulse ended, dozens of enemy ships had vanished. The silent fleet staggered. Kael pressed the advantage, coordinating humans and alien technology in a flawless assault. The battle reached its peak. Kael knew the leaders of the silent fleet were aboard the largest ship. He guided a team of human pilots toward the vessel. Energy beams clashed. Missiles exploded. Fighters fell. But the humans fought with ferocity Kael had never seen in any other race. Finally, they reached the command ship. Kael moved alone now. He entered the heart of the vessel. Its walls were black, cold, alien. Silence filled the corridors. At the center, the leaders of the silent fleet waited. They did not move, did not speak, only watched. Kael's hands clenched. "Your war ends now," he said. Without warning, he activated his ship's weapons, unleashing a torrent of energy. The silent fleet leaders did not fight. They did not resist. They collapsed, as if their power depended entirely on fear, and Kael had none left to give. The command ship exploded in a brilliant flash. The remaining fleet faltered, then scattered into the void. The battle was over. Kael floated above his home world, battered but alive. He looked at the devastation below. Cities were destroyed. Millions of lives lost. His people gone. Yet among the ashes, he saw signs of survival. Small fires burning. A few life forms moving. Hope. Tears filled Kael's eyes. He had no throne, no empire, but he had something stronger. A lesson learned. A truth. Power is meaningless without courage. Leadership is meaningless without sacrifice. And peace is worth fighting for, even when it seems impossible. He turned his eyes back to Earth. Blue, green, and white. Still alive. Humans had survived. They had learned what unity meant. They had seen what bravery looked like. And for the first time, Kael felt something he had never felt before. Pride. "I came to Earth for peace," Kael whispered, "but I found something stronger. Humanity." The human fleet returned home, battered but victorious. Nations celebrated cautiously, knowing the war was over, but the memory of fear would remain. They had fought alongside an alien prince, seen worlds burn, and survived the impossible. Kael's ship, now repaired, prepared to depart from Earth. He would rebuild what remained of his empire. He would lead what was left of his people. But he would never forget the blue planet that had taught him courage, unity, and hope. As he left Earth's orbit, he looked back one last time. The world below was still standing, still beautiful, still human. And Kael knew, no matter what came next in the universe, Earth had earned its place among the stars. The silent fleet was defeated. The empire was gone. But life always finds a way. And for Kael, for humanity, and for the universe, hope remained. The battle had ended. But the story, the legend, was only beginning. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and support us. It really helps us grow and bring more videos like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.